What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Early Edge. It's a special NBA Futures show, and we've got a great cast. This show, of course, is brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. There's so many things going on with football and baseball, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The NBA is back. So let's bring in the stars of the show, because if the NBA is back, it must mean that we have Zack Cimini, that we have PropStarz, and that Mikey B, we have missed you. It must mean you're back. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I cannot wait for basketball to be back in our lives. The preseason came upon us quickly, and now everything starts back up tomorrow.
Everything starts back up tomorrow, including you being on the Early Edge tomorrow morning. And of course, you'll be a regular on the Early Edge during NBA season. Zack Cimini, it doesn't look like you're in the friendly confines of Las Vegas. You're in Arizona this week. How you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm down here in the retirement capital of the world, Mesa, Arizona. It's fall break for the kids, so we came on down, kind of a last-second decision, just come on down. Probably won't be able to make it down through the holidays, so here I am. And yeah, NBA, always good to be on. I know Mike Barner killed it last year. Proppy on with him so many times. Love his takes. Got so many winners from him in the prop market.
In retirement community already, because Zach's going to hit so many winners. He's going to retire early. He's scouting out where he wants to live. PropStarz, you've been pretty hot as well in the NFL, but now you got to transition to, well, not fully transition, but certainly transition a little bit to the NBA. How you doing?
I'm great, Sia. Second time in one day. Lovely to see you, Sia. And then Mikey B and Zach. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you guys. Super fired up. The NBA has always been my first passion. I love NBA props. It's really where I started. My origin story is starting. I first began betting in NBA props. So, yeah, they hold a special place in my heart. I love the grind of the season, and I'm fired up for what looks like a wide open year in the NBA.
Yeah, if you're old school, Early Edge, old school SportsLine, you remember PropStarz from NBA props, I guess initially, and then NFL props, and then all props, and of course, you also remember Lil Geppetto. You certainly remember Zach as well, and Mikey B joining the party after the fact. And I got to say, we're going to get to our props in just a second. But speaking of old school and just people that have been with us for a while, we already have a lot of people in the chat. If you have questions, we're going to answer them during this show. This is going to be more of a relaxed futures show where we'll answer some of your questions as well. And that includes Richard Pierre, Cleveland fan, Jason Pogwist, Eric David, D. Johnson in here, James A., Jeff Stenberg, a lot of people in here. Ask away, but thank you for being in here regardless. Hit the like button if you could. All right, let's get started. Let's get some appetizers going here. Mikey B., I'm going to start with you with teams we hate or teams we love, and we'll start with the love proposition. How about a favorite win total over, Mike Barner?
This is not because I'm a Bulls fan, but Bulls over 32.5 wins, and this is why. So the Bulls, the last 3 seasons, have won 39, 39, and 40 games. They have one clear goal in this franchise. It's to be good enough to sell out the arena. They don't care if they win a championship, but they want to have butts in seats. So they're going to make sure that they do everything they can to be in the hunt for the play-in tournament again this year. They don't have a superstar on the team, but they do have some quality depth. They'll also continue to rack up wins at the end of the season when nobody's trying but them. So this number of 32.5 feels way too low for a team that desperately wants to make the play-in tournament again.
Mikey B., this seems like purgatory for the Chicago Bulls. Just one quick follow-up. If they play well enough up until, let's say, we start talking trade deadline and things of that nature, is it the type of team that could potentially, I guess, outkick their coverage and then maybe make a move at the trade deadline, or will they just be stagnant like it seems like they typically are?
Listen, they got to be stagnant because they got to be worried about that luxury tax and paying all those things. They don't do that in Chicago. Big market. They don't pay into the tax. So I don't think, if anything, I think they would look to maybe trade Vucevic at some point just because he's going to be a free agent pretty soon and he's not part of their long-term plans. But no, I don't think they'll be buyers, Sia, unfortunately.
All right. Well, when we get to this love proposition for PropStarz and Zach, you guys are on the same play, which means it's a pretty strong play. Zach, I'm going to let you do the honors here. Both you and Proppy, like the Atlanta Hawks, over 46.5 wins.
Yeah, you know what? I did the NBA segment with Larry Hartstein as well, so I know he likes the Hawks as well. So, yeah, you look at the win total, see it's at 46.5 wins, and that stood out to me because the odds makers have high optimism on this team because this Hawks team hasn't won more than 43 games over the last 10 years. But you can see the foundation they've set building around their superstar in Trae Young. You've got Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, two athletic, tall guys that actually play defense, and then they had a very aggressive offseason quietly. Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, who's underrated. He'll give you points off the bench as well. You're in the Southeast Division. You know you're going to rack up wins over the Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards, who had the fewest wins in the Eastern Conference last year. And this is a team we've seen since the inception of the play-in be in it every single year. I think they'll be a hungrier team. The odds makers have this right. I'll go over their win total.
PropStarz, if memory serves, you were on the Hawks. I just distinctly remember doing a show when the season was ending last year or something of that nature. We were talking about the Hawks and you were like, this is a team I've got my eye on. Talk to me about the over 46.5 wins.
Indeed, I have been backing the Hawks for quite a bit. Love them to go over 46.5 wins. You could get some incredible value at the beginning of the offseason where I really hammered them and I opened a very large position on them both to make the playoffs, their over win total to even win the Eastern Conference. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But yeah, just to back up what Zach said, I thought they had a terrific offseason. You had Kristaps Porzingis, you had Nickeil Walker-Alexander. Already when you have Dyson Daniels, that is going to be one of the best defensive backcourts whenever Trae Young needs to get spelled or get a breather. That is going to be a tenacious defensive backcourt that's going to give opposing backcourts absolutely fits. Luke Kennard is also a guy that can play minutes in the playoffs. The Hawks have 8 or 9 guys on their roster who could conceivably contribute in a playoff situation. If we look at the Eastern Conference, it's certainly wide open. There does not appear to be really any dominant teams. Jalen Johnson is a two-way star, and he still has room to continue to grow and get better. They've got Risha Shea as well, who was the first overall pick last year. Okongwu as well, who looked to be at least a pretty solid starting center. So they are just beaming with talent. There's no real really strong teams in the East, in my opinion, now that Boston is where they're at. The Knicks appear to be one of the favorites along with Cleveland. But I just think this Hawks team could be potentially as good as any team in the Eastern Conference if they click and they gel. I love the roster construction here. I think Trae Young not having to be a primary scorer as well, just as more of a facilitator, we'll see him really thrive in that role. So I just love this roster construction, love what they did in the offseason. I think they have 7 or 8 guys who can give you meaningful minutes in the playoffs. So I'm all over this Hawks team. I think they have a very, very big ceiling.
East is certainly wide open, and we're going to get to some conference winners and championship winners later on in the show. But let's go to the hate part. Favorite win total under. Mikey B, I'm starting with you again.
I'll do Kings under 35.5 wins. I'm not really sure what they're doing. We've seen this DeRozan-Levine pairing fail already. Their top guards are Levine, Dennis Schroeder, Malik Monk, and Russell Westbrook. None of those guys can run a team. Sabonis is hurt already. Their top backups behind him are Drew Eubanks and Dario Saric. I think they're going to have a hard time winning 36 games, even if the team stays healthy. If Sabonis plays fewer than 65 games, they might not even win 30.
Yeah, that seems totally fair. Zach, another team that I'm not really sure what they're doing is the Phoenix Suns. Talk to me. You're in Arizona, close to it, I guess. I guess that's why you're giving this one out. You're so close to it. Talk to me about their under.
Yeah, I can hear John Gambadoro and Dan Bickley already, the local guys here in Arizona getting ready for their rants, looking at the Phoenix Suns. What are they doing? Da, 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 da. I can see it already. It's an organization that continues to make bad decisions, and now they're trying to make up for it. You could trade Bradley Beal, you trade Kevin Durant. It's not going to work. You cannot turn back what you've already done. And it all started when Robert Sarver had to sell the team to Matt Ishbia. That's when the bad decisions really started. So I just believe that window of decline is going to continue right now. Devin Booker, to me, he's not a number one option anymore, at least to the extent he was 3 years ago. So I'd see this team very limited depth. If they have the typical 1 to 2 injuries an NBA team does have, it's going to be free falling even further. I'm under on the 30.5 wins.
No offense against Devin Booker, but I just don't think he's ever been a true number one. And I think being a great number two is a very high compliment in the NBA. But either way, PropStarz. Now, I think we've talked about this. I think Spo is one of the best coaches in the league, but there comes a point where when you don't have the talent, you don't have the talent. And maybe Spo can't even overcome that because you like the Heat win total under.
I love the Heat win total under, and I have tremendous respect for Spo, who's certainly a great coach. But just looking at this Miami Heat roster, without Tyler Hero, who's going to miss a minimum of 2.5, potentially 3 months. We don't know what Hero's going to look like when he gets back. This team is just going to struggle out the gate, taking them under 38 wins here. Wouldn't shock me if Bam Adebayo is playing on a different team midway through the season. We're talking about Bam Adebayo, Andrew Wiggins, Norman Powell, Davion Mitchell. Again, just not a lot of depth on this Miami team and just not a lot of top-end talent. I think they're going to struggle to have a primary scorer here as well. So I just look at this roster and I just there's a lot of questions around it. Even if Tyler Hero was active, I think it would be hard for this team to finish over 500, frankly. I know Spo gets the most out of the team, but again, I just think this is probably the worst roster that he's had, certainly over the past 10 years. So, yeah, I just look at this team top to bottom. I think they're going to struggle. I think it's a lot of guys like Andrew Wiggins and Norman Powell, who their best days are behind them, and they were more of complementary role players than they are first and second options. So I don't think Bam is really equipped to carry the load offensively. I think he's going to be out of position if they try to run a lot of offense through him as well. So, yeah, I just don't like this roster construction very much at all. They're missing Tyler Hero. And I do think there could be a fire sale in Miami if they don't get off to a good start. Yeah, I think it's just a good spot to fade them.
PropStarz no stranger to fading Miami. If you recall, one of his opening positions in the NFL was to fade the Miami Dolphins. What was crazy is he put that out, and then the Dolphins win total, which is a surprise to nobody, the Dolphins win total actually went down a full game, which is gigantic. And PropStarz came onto the early edge, and he said, you know what? Fade it again. Fade it at the new number either way, and it looks like that is definitely coming true. So again, it's not a Miami bias, right? PropStarz is just so happens these rosters weren't very good. All right, let's move. Teams on the fringe. We're talking about teams that we think might make the playoffs, or maybe teams that might not make the playoffs. Mike, I'm going to start with you. You like the Mavericks to make the playoffs. This is one of my teams as well.
Yeah, I do. They're going to be such a good defensive team this season with these big lineups that they can throw out there. You know, it's that Kyrie's going to be out for a while. D'Angelo Russell is not someone you want playing playoff crunch time minutes for you, but he can keep you afloat for half of the regular season. They can play flag some at point guard, which will really make them the big team. I like their bench, PJ Washington, Max Christie, and then either Gafford or Lively, whoever doesn't start. I just think it's going to be so hard to score on them on a nightly basis.
PropStarz, this is interesting because you agree. You have kind of two plays here, one make and one miss. You like the Mavs to make the playoffs. And I do have a follow-up question for you and Mikey B when it comes to the Mavs. But interestingly, you have the Pistons to not make the playoffs at plus 400. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'll start with the Mavs. I absolutely love the Mavs coming into the season. Getting them plus money to make the playoffs, even in a stacked and loaded Western Conference, to me is just tremendous value. I look at this veteran-laden roster. Anthony Davis is still a top 10 player in the NBA. I know Kyrie Irving is going to miss a month or two, but I anticipate he'll be back at full strength before the calendar year ends. He's ahead of schedule with his recovery timetable. I just look at the rest of the roster. I just love this. As Mikey B mentioned, just defensively, when you have Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively Jr., Anthony Davis, that rim protection is just going to be something fierce. Then I look at their bench, guys like Max Christie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington. These are all guys who can play playoff minutes and give you good minutes in the playoffs. I think they have like a rotation of 9 or 10 guys. Even guys like Najee Marshall played so well last year. Dante Exum has really developed into a very solid player off the bench. So they have just tremendous lineup versatility. They have lots of shooters. They have spacing. Kyrie is still one of the best closers in the league. Anthony Davis is still a top 10 player. Then you insert the first overall pick, who looks to be NBA ready, certainly from a competition aspect. I think he's going to fit in great with this group of veterans. I love this Mavs team. I think they can legitimately win 50 games, and I think they can be a top 5 seed in the West. And I think they're even a dark horse. I'd even go that far. If they click and stay healthy, which I think there's a good chance happens, I think this is a legitimate potentially playoff team, but even a top 4 seed in the West. I think that highly of this Dallas Mavericks team. Getting them at plus money, I think, is outrageous considering their roster. So, this is a massive position for me.
And not that you should listen to me, but this is a team I was on basically right when we knew the Mavericks were going to get the number 1 pick. I do have questions about the Mavericks. We can get to that later in the show. I do want to mention Chris Diorio, Mavs over 39.5 was my first play, says Chris. Let's move on to the Pistons. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to hit on the Pistons really quickly. So the Pistons, the East is wide open, but I think the Pistons, it's going to be hard to replicate the season they had last year. So much hinges on Cade Cunningham, who's had durability concerns throughout his career. And I would contend if you remove Cade Cunningham from this roster, I don't think it's anything special whatsoever. You're returning a lot of guys that to me just don't really offer a tremendous amount of upside. I look at the roster and I think they really overachieved last year. Again, the East is soft, certainly no argument there. And again, I would think if the odds were even, I would not take them to miss the playoffs. But considering the price point here, plus 400 for a team that really is predicated on a singular player who's had durability concerns, I think it provides value here at plus 400 on them missing the playoffs.
All right, Zach, talk to me about the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant and company not making the playoffs.
Yeah, this one is juicy at minus 194, but I think it actually should be higher. This team fired the coach, Taylor Jenkins, last year. There was a lot of questions on why they did that. Traded away Desmond Bane. And now you look at the scoring. Where is it going to come outside of Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant? When we talk about superstars in this day and age of the NBA, there's not a superstar that you can guarantee is going to miss 20 to 25 games every year like Ja Morant. You go back the last 4 years, he's played over 60 games just once, and that was 61 games. So he's going to miss a lot of games. I don't like the depth on this team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to backpedal this year. And then you don't take too much stock in preseason basketball, but the Grizzlies went 1-4. 3 of those losses were by double digits.
All right, let's move on to a favorite plus money team to make the play-in. And Zach, I'm going to start with you this time because I feel like we had a Kings under earlier in the show, but you like the Kings at plus 200. You just gave out a juicy play, but this is juicy the other way. Plus 200 on the Kings to make the play-in.
Yeah, when you're looking at the play-in, it's going to be those fringe type of teams. I could definitely see what Mike said on this Kings team not making the playoffs, going under their wins. But they do have that veteran leadership. A lot of veteran players just brought in. Russ Westbrook. We know Levine, DeRozan. You got DeMontis Sabonis. And to me, this Kings team does have some youth that they've let develop. Keon Ellis, he's made some strides. He developed in the G League a few years ago. We also saw that with Devin Carter last year. Had some promising games towards the end of the year. And being in Vegas, I got to see the rookie, Nick Clifford. He was the best player in Summer League. He shined in the preseason as well. And they have a hungry coach. Doug Christie was a player for the Kings in the late 90s, early 2000s when he took over for Mike Brown. They went 10-1 overall. So this is just that type of play. I could see the Kings being a fringe team, getting into that play-in, possibly sneaking in and getting one of those last 2 spots at plus 200 odds.
I could see some of those lower end names that you mentioned actually flash and become not household names, but names that people are going to have to pay attention to. Devin Carter.
Keegan Murray will be back. Keegan Murray will be back after a month as well.
Being a Big East guy, Devin Carter comes to mind. That guy, when he wants to score, can score. Let's see if it translates into the NBA. All right, Mike, talk to me about your Chicago Bulls to make the play-in.
I'll make this short and sweet, Sia, because we already talked about the Bulls. Bulls to make the play-in at plus 160. Now, we know the saying championship or bust, right? Well, the Bulls saying is 9th seed or bust. They have to get that top home playoff ticket gate there in the play-in tournament. 9th seed or bust. Chicago Bulls plus 160.
9th seed or bust. Hang it up. PropStarz, Raptors plus 105 to make the play-in.
It's hard to make a case for 6 playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. But look at this. Basically, this is a bet on talent. If you look at this Raptors roster, I think their starting 5 is honestly potentially one of the better starting 5s in the Eastern Conference. Manuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl. They have some versatility in that lineup, secondary playmakers. So I like this Raptors team. If from a talent standpoint, it's yet to be seen what that's going to look like on the court. Just considering the state of the Eastern Conference, I think just on talent alone, they can make the play in here. So they have a ceiling that's pretty high, in my opinion. Also a low floor as well. But yeah, I think this Raptors team potentially has a top 5 or 6 roster in the Eastern Conference.
All right. I actually had a chance to meet one of their newest assignees, Olivier Sarr, who was out with an Achilles last year. Of course, that's Alex Sarr's brother. He was training and rehabbing at the gym I play basketball at and lift weights at and things of that nature. Him and his father would train together, among others, and like the Sarr family is absolutely the nicest family of all time. I bring all that up because in the preseason, Olivier Sarr actually hit a game winner against the Wizards, against Alex Sarr's team, and it was really a cool moment for somebody who's been out of the league for a little bit with an injury. All right, teams to win it all. Favorite conference winner bet. Zach, I'm starting with you.
Yeah, this is not a surprise. Probably my most redundant. A basic play. OKC Thunder win the West at plus 130. You just see the similar trajectory of past dominant teams in the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics. This is their window. I don't see them leaving it unless SGA has a serious injury. This is a team we saw. They can have blowouts in the playoffs. We saw the blowout losses against the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, even the Indiana Pacers. But the depth of this team is built to last in those longer 6-7 game series. And it all started with Sam Presti doing those trades, acquiring so many picks, and now they've got this long window with so much great youth on their team. Give me the Thunder plus 130 out the West.
I mean, the West is stacked, but the Thunder look really, really good, probably for the next 5 or 10 years. PropStarz, talk to me about the Hawks. I mean, you already talked about them at length, but just talk to me about how they size up against the other teams in the East, because I think you're right. It's wide open in the East.
Completely wide open. There are no dominant teams in the East like there are in the Western Conference. I look at this Hawks team. You add a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, who's obviously very experienced, veteran player, a lot of playoff experience. Trae Young has proven to have another gear that he can get to in the playoffs. Love what I've seen from Jalen Johnson, who looks to be a two-way star, potential all-star player. So, yeah, I just think this roster is built with the playoffs in mind. It's wide open for them. Okay, this is something, again, I jumped on a couple of months ago, but I still think there's some value for them at plus 1,000 to win the East.
All right, Mike, if it's not the Hawks, it might be the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I really like the Knicks at plus 380. Their bench, they had no bench last year. Now they actually do. They have Jordan Clarkson. They added Yabusele. You also got to remember Mitchell Robinson only played 17 games last season. So he's healthy right now. Getting him back is huge. I think it comes down to the Knicks or the Cavs in the East, and I really like the Knicks' chances this season.
All right, Knicks or the Cavs. Nobody's mentioned, PropStarz, your Philadelphia 76ers. Maybe that's for good reason. Maybe they'll come up at the end of the show. I like them as a dark horse to win the East, but I think that's like a super dark horse because Paul George, Joel Embiid staying healthy for an entire season just doesn't really add up to me. Go ahead, Proppy.
I would be more surprised, or I guess less surprised, if we announced that Paul George was starting a podcast on SportsLine than I would if the Sixers won the Eastern Conference with Paul George playing any form of meaningful role in that process.
Indeed. All right, let's go to favorite title winner bet. Zach, I'm going back to you. One of the teams in the East that we haven't even mentioned, or at least not much, is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, this Cavaliers team 7-1 to win the NBA title. And to me, they're like the Baltimore Ravens in the NBA. They've been there. They've got all these wins in the regular season, 64 wins last year, didn't get it done, but that was a special run by the Indiana Pacers that we saw almost take out the Thunder in 7 games in the NBA Finals. We don't know what would have happened if Halliburton didn't get hurt when they were up 18-13. So that was a special run from the Pacers. They're going to be out of the equation with Halliburton injured. We know the Celtics with Jason Tatum out of the equation as well. So they have great depth. They brought in Lonzo Ball. That's going to be coming off the bench as well. And I think they'll be able to take advantage of that this year, get through the Eastern Conference. And I think they match up well with the OKC Thunder, which we saw in the regular season last year. So I think if they get there, they'll have the hunger to get the job done at 7-1 odds.
Cleveland fan says he loves that bet, which is really no surprise there. All right, let's go to the Nuggets. Now, Mikey B and PropStarz have the same pick here. Mikey B, I'm going to let you lead off.
Yeah, I'll go with the Nuggets because they actually have a bench. They have Valanciunas, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't think Cam Johnson is much of a downgrade from Michael Porter Jr., if any. I really do like Cam Johnson. So we've seen what the Nuggets could do last season without a bench, and now they actually have one. They actually don't need Jokic to play every single game and play huge minutes because Valanciunas is by far the best backup center that they've ever had with him in the fold here. So I'll take the Nuggets at plus 700.
PropStarz add on here.
Well, first and foremost, you have the best player in the world at the peak of his powers. So that alone is worth significant value to me. But then you combine that with, I would add that Cam Johnson is a massive upgrade over Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. was a complete nothing in the playoffs. I'm talking about a historically bad defensive liability. And then offensively, they couldn't even have he was gun shy and just mentally was not able to shoot. He was unplayable in the playoffs for a team, as Mikey B mentioned, that had zero depth. Not going to be the case with Cam Johnson, who offers good spacing, and just by being an average NBA level defender is a massive upgrade over Michael Porter Jr., who was a complete turnstile defensively. He's long on talent, but he is not a player that can contribute meaningful minutes to a winning basketball team. If you can't play with Nikola Jokic, you are absolutely doomed for success in the NBA. It's that simple. So, I just look at that as a massive addition by subtraction. Again, Mike talked about the depth as well, adding a guy who can take away some minutes, give you some quality minutes in Valanciunas. Bruce Brown has always been a very high IQ player. If you watch him move without the ball, the two-man game with Jokic, very impressive. When they had Bruce Brown, they won an NBA title. So I love the value that the Nuggets provide, both to win the Western Conference and the NBA title. I'd make them the favorite personally. They almost got by OKC basically playing 4-on-5. So, yes, way worse than Aaron Judge. I don't even think it's equivalent out there to really put into perspective how absolutely terrible Michael Porter Jr. is at playing basketball for a contending team.
Leave this comment up, Ben, if you would, because if you're listening to the audio version, thank you for listening. Make sure you and all your friends are subscribed to the Early Edge podcast. But Eric David in the chat says, was MPJ the NBA equivalent of Aaron Judge in the playoffs? And as PropStarz was answering that question, Mikey B was rolling his eyes. So, Mike, you have the floor. Your response.
No, he's the equivalent of Jazz Chisholm Jr., who has one trick pony and can't play defense. That's exactly what we got here. He's not Aaron Judge. Come on. Too far. Jeez, Eric.
It's too far. It is too far. Jazz Chisholm has the best home run trot of all time, in my opinion, though. All right. Let's go to, you know what? There was it was Big Cheesy in the chat. Everybody, thanks for being in here. He says, look at these group of goats. I feel honored to be here. Big Cheesy, I feel honored that you're in here because we're doing this at a weird time. A lot of people are listening after the fact. Can't thank you enough. It's goats like Big Cheesy and so many of you that have been in this chat for so long. We very much have you to thank for being with us for the last 4 or 5 years. Is it 6? Probably 5 years at this point. All right, let's get to player averages. Now we have Mikey B and Zach with plays on some of these player prop-ish bets. We'll get to some awards and then we'll close things out also with some of your questions. Points per game leader bet. Mikey B and Zach, you're on the same player here. Mikey B, I'm going to let you lead off.
Giannis has scored at least 30 points in each of the last 3 seasons. Quickly, look at who his competition for shots are. Miles Turner, good player, not a high scorer. Kyle Kuzma, lost. I don't think he realizes he's in the NBA anymore. He
No.
looks like he has no idea what he's doing out there. That's it. So I think Giannis is going to take this season personally. As long as he doesn't get traded, I think he's going to have a career season in terms of his points per game average.
Yeah, what you described about Kyle Kuzma is like his entire career, by the way. Zach, you also agree with Giannis plus 240 from a points per game leader standpoint.
Yeah, that consistency is just there, as Mike said. 3 straight years averaging 30 points. Was right behind SGA last year, finished second in this category. And we kind of got a sneak preview of Giannis being that extra dominant scorer towards the end of the season when Damian Lillard was out with blood clots. He averaged 32 points closing out the regular season. Then in the playoffs against the Pacers, he averaged 33 points per game. So he's going to be right at that number. I see him being the NBA leader at plus 240.
What's so interesting is you guys don't discuss your bets ahead of time, and yet you had the same play here, which again, anytime we have synergy and it wasn't planned synergy, I'm always going to take a second look. 3-pointers made per game. That's our next sort of player averages, player prop-ish type bet. And Zach, you and Mikey B are on Peyton Pritchard. This time, I'm going to let you lead off. It's 14-1.
Yeah, this one I wanted to have fun with because he's the guy you see on the leaderboard in this future, and you're like, what is he doing there? Peyton Pritchard, 14-1, but we know he's an electric scorer. I saw it in college basketball at Oregon. We've seen the flash highlights in the summer league. And last year, even though he was coming off the bench, Joe Mazzulla had more confidence in him in the rotation. He was playing 28, 30 minutes per game, and he shot almost double the 3-pointers he has in his career, 8 3-point attempts per game. Now you don't have those shots with Kristaps Porzingis not there, Jason Tatum hurt, no longer have Drew Holiday, so he's going to get more shots. I don't think I'd be surprised if he's not taking 10, 11 3-pointers per game, shoots it at 41%, and if something happens to this roster, maybe Jaylen Brown goes down, Pritchard's going to even have more of a green light. So I like him. He's going to take advantage of those extra minutes at 14-1.
Mikey B, you agree?
Completely agree. I think the one point I'll make, because Zach made so many great ones, Steph Curry is the obvious leader here, but Steph Curry is 37 years old, and he's going to be 38 in March. So all he has to do is miss, if he misses 15 games, 20 games, and Pritchard plays 78 for a depleted Celtics team, he could win it at 14-1 odds. I mean, I think it's well worth the risk.
All right, let's transition. By the way, real quick, the state of the Boston Celtics. Mikey B, let me go to you here. Like, what should we expect from this team? I don't think they have a lot of depth. We know Simons is in there, which is a nice little pickup. But is this a team that you expect to finish like top 5 or top 6? Are they a play-in team?
Probably. Definitely, if they make it, it'd be as a play-in team because they have no front court. That's the problem. They have very good guards. They're going to shoot. You think they saw a lot of 3-pointers last season? Get ready. They're going to shoot even more this year. They're going to set records this season. So it's going to be chuck and duck, and no one's going to get rebounds. So if they do get in, it's going to have to be through the play-in.
All right, let's go to the awards market. Let's talk Rookie of the Year. I really like both of these guys that you, Mikey B, and Zach have selected. But Zach, I certainly think the Ace Bailey number is a lot more attractive. So you get to lead off here. Talk to me about Ace Bailey at 9-1.
Yeah, this one was just a value play for me, Sia, because I can't remember a Rookie of the Year market where your second player on the board is at 9-1 odds. It's so much skewed to Cooper Flagg, which he may win the award, probably will win the award, but he does have some things against him in his rookie year. He's on a competitive team in the Dallas Mavericks. He's going to have to learn to play with those veterans, and he's also going to, from a health standpoint, will be able to play a complete season as well. So there's no other rookie that has to deal with a veteran team like Cooper Flagg does. Ace Bailey, he's going to get the shots. He's going to have that free will to score. And we saw in the preseason, he played 3 games. He had breakout games in 2 of them, averaged, I think, 25 points in those 2 games. So Bailey's a natural scorer. I think he will have more points per game than Cooper Flagg. It's just a question on if this Utah organization is going to keep him on the court. That's the thing that we know with Utah. They're going to pull their top players and not play them enough games. But Ace Bailey can't go wrong with 9-1 on the value.
Ace Bailey, Mikey B, seems like a really good, extremely talented player to me. But nonetheless, you're going with Cooper Flagg. It's -220.
We love to take long shots. Proppy's giving out the Hawks. Zach and I are giving out Peyton Pritchard. Long shots are fun for futures, but that doesn't mean everyone has to be a long shot. And Cooper Flagg is by far the best rookie. He is in an immediate position to be a key contributor for the Mavericks on a team that we've all said has a chance of making the playoffs. So if you want to bet this category, just pay the juice and go Cooper Flagg.
That's totally fair. Okay, let's go to most improved player of the year. Proppy, you've got one here. Shaden Sharp. We're going to, oh, this is interesting. We're going to Portland, aren't we?
We are indeed going to the great Pacific Northwest for Shaden Sharp, entering the 4th year of his career, 20-1 odds to win this award. He's very likely to be the leading scorer on this Blazers team, who no longer has Anthony Simons. And yeah, this is a contract year for Shaden Sharp, who's yet to have his option picked up. So I look at this spot for him. He's always been long on talent. He's struggled with consistency. Started to come on, though. Over the last month of the season, was averaging around 23 points per game on efficient shooting. We got a glimpse of what I think we'll see a lot more of this season. So I think the Blazers have some promising talent. I think Shaden Sharp's going to be taking between 20 and 25 shots a night. So if he can be fairly efficient, I think he has a great shot to win this award.
Interesting, because Zach, if we're talking most improved player, we're talking Shaden Sharp with PropStarz, but we're talking about a different trailblazer for you.
Yeah, Denny Avdia, 16-1 odds, his teammate. And what Proppy has a great play there on Shaden Sharp, but I like coaches that are going to lean more towards playing their veteran players. And Chauncey Billups, he had a lot of weird lineups last year with fluctuate minutes of players. Shaden Sharp was one of them. I'd play his prop. He'd play 15, 16 minutes, and I'd be livid about it. But Avdia was not one of those guys. He was playing him 36 minutes per game to close out the year. He averaged 24 points per game in the month of March, scored over 30 points in 7 of his last 16 games. So Billups loves Avdia. Now you have Drew Holiday, a true point guard on your team to get even more baskets. I think Avdia stands out as he did closing out the year. He wins this award at 16-1.
Proppy, you had follow-up there.
My only argument regarding Avdia is that he's already really good. So maybe more from like a national spotlight perspective, people will see that. But yeah, watching Denny Avdia played at an all-star level last season. So I just think the room for growth for Shaden Sharp is significantly bigger than Denny Avdia, who I believe is already a very good two-way player in the NBA. And yeah, he was brilliant down the stretch last year for the Blazers. So, but yeah, obviously I do like the Avdia pick as well. Wouldn't shock me whatsoever if he leads the team in pretty much every statistical counting category. But yeah, I think Denny Avdia is already proven to be a very good player in the league.
Mikey B, I want to go to you, and I want to mention to the chat, there's a few questions, and we're going to rapid fire at the end of the show some of the questions and some of your picks as well. So go ahead and feel free to put anything in the chat that you want. But Mikey B, speaking of more significant roles, well, there's no Tyrese Halliburton on the Pacers. We know there's also no Miles Turner. But as it relates to Tyrese Halliburton, you correct me if I'm wrong, Benedict Mathurin is going to take a much bigger role.
Yeah, I love Benedict Mathurin here at plus 1,300. Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, all very good players, but none of those guys are big-time scorers. So outside of Pascal Siakam, it's going to be Benedict Mathurin for the Pacers this season. I see a significant increase in his minutes, a significant increase in his usage rate, and I think he averages at least 20 points per game for the first time in his career.
Wow. Okay. That's high praise for Benedict Mathurin. All right, let's go to Coach of the Year. We'll go through these pretty quick so we can get to some questions. Zach, Mike Brown at 10-1.
Yeah, Mike Brown, 10-1 now with the New York Knicks. This is all we know. The Knicks have a great roster, so he's going into a great situation. They just needed a new voice at coach. He's not going to run his players into the ground as Thibodeau did. And he won this award with the Sacramento Kings just 3 years ago. Many people question why he was let go by that Kings team after having the success that he did. And he's an NBA lifer. He's been an assistant or a coach in the NBA since 1997. So he already kind of has the media in his hands. I think he's going to do well with this Knicks team with the East wide open. I'll go with Mike Brown at 10-1.
And Mikey B, Quinn Snyder at plus 650.
Yes, Proppy already talked so much about the Hawks and all the good points. They won 40 games last year. If they finish as the 3rd seed and win 50 games at plus 650, Quinn Snyder is going to win the award.
I feel like Quinn Snyder's also like a really good coach, but we never really talk about it. Am I wrong there?
He's got great glasses.
He was a great coach dating back to when he was the head coach of Missouri. But I've always been a big fan of Quinn Snyder. And yeah, I think he's a very talented coach.
See, you're always one-upping me, Proppy. I was kind of referring to Utah, but then you're like, oh, yeah, even before that. Okay, I get it. I see what you're doing here. Let's go to MVP. Okay, so we have one vote for Giannis and one vote for Luka. let's go to the new and improved Luka. Zack Cimini, talk to me at 4-1.
Yeah, this one is more about, I think there's a wall on giving this award to repeat guys. We know Jokic has done it. Probably should have won it again last year. We've seen Giannis win it. I don't think he's going to win it again. And SGA, I think that what we saw in the playoffs and the way the referees aren't calling those fouls as much is going to carry over into the regular season. So this is going to be Luka's first true season, entire season with the Los Angeles Lakers. He has that new slimmed down body. So we could see the old Luka we saw in years past with the Dallas Mavericks. He already fills the stat box as it is, but with new body, I think he's just going to stand out this season more so than the other guys that have won this MVP already. So going to be Luka at 4-1.
I'm going to be very frustrated if we let SGA and some of the other players lean into players and get a foul jump into players, lean into whatever you want to call it. It is a very bad.
Not anymore.
If we keep doing that, and I know, listen, some of those are going to get called. I get it. But if we do that every single time, it's going to be it's like watching the tush push 4 times in a row. Not the Eagles would ever do that on national television. Mikey B, talk to me about Giannis at plus 1,200. Obviously, as Zach said, he's kind of out on Giannis in this market. He's already won it, but you like it at 12-1.
I think the reason why he has a chance this year is because he's literally going to be a one-man band. And we also love guys that are stat stuffers. Giannis has averaged at least 11 rebounds and 5.6 assists in each of the last 7 seasons. So let's just say the Bucks in the Eastern Conference, that's not great. We've all talked about it's kind of up in the air. Let's say he averages 34 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, and the Bucks finish as the 3rd seed. He's going to be carrying them along the way. And I think at plus 1,200, that could actually happen.
All right, let's get to some questions here. I want to point out Big Cheesy has a lot of plays in, and we'll get to a few of them. He says Jalen Brunson MVP at 100-1. I mean, Jalen Brunson's really good, and it's New York. It's a big market with a lot of nationally televised games. Is this a no, Proppy?
Yes, you're throwing away money. I love Jalen Brunson, but he's not going to win the MVP award.
But it's 100-1.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin Malone. Is that what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to bet anything if they give you those odds?
All right. Well, Big Cheesy, I think it's a good look, but Proppy's probably right. All right. James A says, Proppy, will you be posting all NBA plays on your X/Twitter daily all season long? Proppy, I know they can find it. You're going to put some plays on Twitter, but if they want to get the picks when you make them, in other words, before the line shifts, SportsLine's the best bet for that, right?
SportsLine's absolutely the best bet for that. I will be posting my plays real time to SportsLine, which will have the bulk pretty much of every single NBA bet that I personally wager. You will get in real time with a SportsLine subscription. Just make sure you turn notifications on. I will be easing into this season, though. I do want to make that very clear. I like to singularly focus on one sport at a time. When my volume starts to dwindle in the NFL, I will then transition to NBA. I may have a couple of props here or there, maybe a couple per week as I build towards that. But yeah, I will. Being a SportsLine subscriber, definitely the easiest way to get access to every pick I make.
And real quick, Zach and Mike, Zach, I'm going to go to you first. NBA, in terms of volume and in terms of plays, you're putting those on SportsLine. Can we expect, because I know you're doing other sports too, Zach, can we expect the kind of like the full allotment after the NFL and college football season? What can we expect from you from an NBA play standpoint?
NBA, I will tell you, I'll be just right honest with you. Early in the season, I am very cautious. If I would rank early season sports out of the top market sports, NBA probably would be 5th because you have to take it slow. You got to adjust on the fly. So I'm right there with Proppy. It's going to be a slower start to the NBA season. I'll probably have 5 to 6 plays a week. But my market on SportsLine has been the NBA playoffs. The last 3 or 4 years, I think I've been number 1 in the playoff time frame. But regular season, I know Mike Barner, he's been the top guy for that.
Yeah, Mikey B, I know you're going to be on the early edge at least over the next couple of days here as NBA gets started. What can we expect from you?
I'll be firing off as many plays as I can possibly convince myself to put in there. I love them here. We might even bring back now the Pampers parlay. That might have to wait a little bit. We don't want to fill the diaper right away with some bad picks. So we might have to wait a little bit on the Pampers parlay. But player props, game picks, I'll be ready to go.
If you're new to this show and SportsLine, just know that that was an inside joke, and you'll get the reference as soon as you catch up on the early edge every single Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, let's get to some questions. Before we do that, Proppy, go ahead.
Also, I wanted to point out, I'm really glad we have this opportunity to get to questions. I will be live in the SportsLine Discord in less than 15 minutes from now as well. So if there's anything you wanted to ask me personally that we don't get to right now with Sia and the boys, I will be in the SportsLine Discord approximately 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, answering any and all questions that any of you guys might have.
SportsLine Discord, free to SportsLine members, which means we only have 5 to 10 minutes to get through some questions and plays. Okay, here's a good one from our friend Eric David. He says, on DK, Hawks over is 46.5 at -135 and 47.5 at -105. Would you guys pay the extra juice for the lower total? Probably, I'm trying to remember who was on this play, but I think you were one of them.
Yeah, I'm on the over here. I'd personally go for the 47.5. That's significant juice for just one win. So yeah, I'd be much more comfortable taking the 47.5.
Zach, you were the other one on that play. Do you agree with the 47.5 at -105?
Yeah, I agree with the 47.5. You know, there's always streak in the NBA. You could see this Hawks team go on an 8-9 game win streak early in the season, and that adjusted win total will be in your favor to take advantage of. So I'd say you take the 47.5. That one game makes no difference to me on that juice.
Mikey B, I asked you about the Boston Celtics. Jeff Stenberg wants to know, or maybe he's already made this bet. Celtics under 41.5 wins is -110. Is that a stay away or is that a play?
I don't mind it. I do think they're going to have their interior is going to be a big problem here. He talks about Keita. Yeah, their front court, Chris Boucher, Xavier Tillman, Luka Garza. I mean, it's pretty bad. So that's going to be their Achilles heels. If they're not outscoring teams, they're not going to win. So the big question here is Jason Tatum actually going to return? I mean, he's talking about he's going to come back this season. He seems determined. It seems crazy that that's even a possibility. If he returns, then it's a whole nother story.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I like the under as well. And what you have to see, the Boston Celtics have the market from the last 5 or 6 years. This win total probably should be 37, 38.5. And I wouldn't be surprised, as Mike is talking about with Jason Tatum, he's probably not going to come back. And then when they're not in that playoff mode, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull a Dallas Mavericks of 3 years ago where they don't even want to be in the play-in when they pulled Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So that could be a situation towards the end of the season. You can get a valuable pick and be 100% with your roster next year.
Speaking of Dallas, I want to get to this question because I think it's important, as Dallas is kind of a hot team, at least to talk about. Now, I think I kind of did some research on Kyrie Irving before the show. It does look like mid-January or sometime in January is probably when he's going to try to come back. My question for Proppy, I'm going to go to you on this one. My question for you is, especially before Kyrie comes back, where does the scoring come from? This is a good defensive team, but I do have questions about their scoring. Am I overstating it here?
I think so. I think they have an incredibly deep roster. D'Lo, not a primary scorer, but a guy that can give you 15 points. You've got Max Christie, Klay Thompson. You've got PJ Washington, who's a very capable scorer. Anthony Davis. Again, a lot of complimentary, but Najee Marshall averaged 20 points over the final 2 months of the season. So I don't think they're lacking for scoring punch. Dante Exum, I would say, is a very underrated player at this stage of his career after being labeled a significant bust. Really had trouble just staying on the court, but he's developed into a very good two-way player. Again, I just think they have a very deep rotation, lots of good veteran players. I don't think they'll have trouble scoring.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to Big Cheesy's comment. Wemby to lead the league in rebounds. Mikey B, I'm going to go to you on this one. We haven't really talked about the Spurs. I think they're such an interesting team, but Wemby to lead the league in rebounds at plus 1,200. Any thoughts there, Mikey B?
I wouldn't do it. This sounds crazy, okay? I understand the words that are about to come out of my mouth sound crazy. But they actually added Luke Cornett. So that means Wemby doesn't have to play as much 5 as you would think. He can be out on the perimeter more, especially offensively, like he likes to be. So I wouldn't do it. I'd much rather go with someone like Giannis or Jokic. I know, obviously, you're probably not going to get as good odds, but I don't think Wemby's the leader there.
Okay. Let's see. We have more questions. We got a comment from Japan. Okay, so this is like a play for, I don't even know if they're playing. Is it tomorrow night? Jones over 16.5, PRA minus 112. I can't imagine any of you are ready to answer this one. Hand up. Does anybody want to respond to this?
Shout out to the great Herb Jones.
Go ahead.
We're not betting Herb Jones props on opening night, guys. Okay, there's other guys to bet. We're not betting Herb Jones. Okay, I'm all for the degenerate gambling plays, but Japan, we can't do that one this early.
Hey,
I love Herb Jones.
Japan is pretty sharp, though. So, I mean, if he's calling it out on October 20th, it's probably a pretty decent play. All right, gentlemen, we got to wrap it up because, Proppy, you have someplace to be in the SportsLine Discord. We've already gone 50, 55 minutes here. Let's get a final thought, though. Zach, I'm going to start with you. Tell me the thing you're looking forward to the most this NBA season.
Yeah, just seeing how the East shapes out. So wide open. Can the Knicks take advantage? Can the Cavaliers take advantage? And then when the trade deadline comes, which team is going to be more aggressive? That's always been the biggest key leading into the playoffs. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing is how that East shapes up. I think the West, we already know who those top contenders are going to be.
PropStarz?
There is a player in Brooklyn who I think has serious MVP consideration, and his name is Michael Porter. I'm just kidding.
I was like, Brooklyn.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Western Conference, to seeing Nikola Jokic. With Nikola Jokic, I always have this concern that he's just going to decide to hang it up. I definitely think it will be sooner rather than later. I'm going to savor Nikola Jokic playing at the level he is. In my opinion, he's the greatest offensive player in NBA history. So I'm looking forward to watching Nikola Jokic operate in his prime. The Oklahoma City Thunder are also a terrific young roster, as evidenced by their tremendous run they had in postseason success. So I agree. He probably has deserved the last five.
Mutanda's in the chat, says Jokic has deserved the last 5 consecutive MVPs.
I think that's a solid take. Michael Porter Jr. being the runner-up for those as well. But yeah, very much looking forward to seeing those 2 teams atop the Western Conference. Also, we didn't even talk about Houston. They look to be a viable team that's going to win 55-plus games potentially. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing a very stacked and loaded Western Conference with tons of talent at the top.
If you have questions about any of these teams that we didn't touch on a lot, like the Spurs, like the Houston Rockets, that's kind of what the NBA Discord channel is for. So again, that SportsLine Discord has every sport covered, and we're going to have, especially in the NBA, we're going to start to have more people in there, like Mikey B, like PropStarz, like Zach, just contributing and offering their opinions and responding to your opinions. Mikey B, we'll close here because I want to get your opinion in terms of what you are looking forward to. I like what PropStarz said about savoring things. I see LeBron James at his age. I see Steph Curry at his age. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to get to watch this outside of just watching old highlights, which will still be electric. I mean, I could include a lot of other guys in that conversation that are getting older, but I don't think we have much left from LeBron and Steph Curry. And especially in Steph's case, I just love watching him. So talk to me about what you're savoring or looking forward to this NBA season.
I have missed NBA League Pass. I cannot wait to get the kids put to bed and turn on and flip through and watch all the games. We hear Eric Collins go nuts on the Hornets broadcast. There's just so much fun things to watch. I don't want to sit down and have to look 5,000 things on Netflix to try and figure out what to watch. My wife's trying to get me to watch this thing and that thing. I don't want to watch that. I want to watch basketball from 7 p.m. Eastern time until 1 a.m. That's it. Basketball.
I'm going to be up late watching basketball as well. Up late tonight watching Monday Night Football as well with a 10 o'clock start. Mikey B, thank you. PropStarz, thank you. Zack Cimini, thank you very much. Love what you said about Mikey B, about just being able to watch basketball. I love that you're coming back on the early edge starting tomorrow. So we're going to start to flip the script a little bit. Got to get a lot more NBA content, a lot more new guests on the early edge. But we'll bid you adieu for now. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, PropStarz. And of course, thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Thank you for all of you listening in the chat. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast, The Early Edge. 5-star review is always super helpful, and maybe some comments about who you like and what you like on this show. Thanks for being in here. We'll see you next time. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll say it. We rest our case.